listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
There we go. Sorry, Teresa. Mike was muted. Yeah, of course. I'm Dylan Larck. Able to take on Twitter/X. Go follow me there. Here to talk about Auburn's horrific loss to Mexico State in a game that was just very sloppy all around, offensively, defensively. Everything that could have gone wrong yesterday for Auburn went wrong. And I have the stats put up in front of me. And Auburn just got outgained, outmanned, outgunned. And I can't really say that. I can't really say that was because of the lack of talent. And I'm seeing all the people coming in saying that I'm muted. Am I still muted? I need confirmation from the crowd that I am that my sound is back on. It's showing that it sounds back. So everybody, I need confirmation from the people in the crowd that y'all can hear me. All right, thank you, Chris. But yeah, Auburn, no turnovers, 9 penalties, 65 rushing yards. 148 passing yards and outgained on every single one of those. Mexico State had 213 rushing yards from Mexico State. And some of that was from Star Thomas, some of that was from Diego Pavia, who Pavia just absolutely just throttled our defense just all the way around. There's not a lot good to say about what Auburn did yesterday. None whatsoever. All Auburn did was kind of lose confidence in themselves. I mean, I've been hearing rumors all the way around about, I think Cole Pinkston kind of said it, that Auburn, he said that Hugh Freeze kind of did too much recruiting this week, and that kind of hurt Auburn's chances in this game because they did more recruiting than coaching. And that's kind of what happens when you overlook an opponent. And that seems like what happened yesterday. I mean, the Iron Bowl is just now we're talking 6 days away. And going into this week, I had a pretty high confidence level of Auburn being competitive in that game. Unless something happens in these next 5 days, I'm not too sure how well it's going to be. Because right now the Iron Bowl is currently Bama favored by 14 points. And I'm thinking that's very generous for it being, I understand it's a rivalry game and all. But Peyton Thorne played pretty well. He had 148 yards, 15 and 19, had a touchdown. His QBR was low, but that's also an inflated stat. Rushing, he led the team in rushing. He also got sacked 4 times, so take that into consideration when we talk about his rushing yards. Jarquez Hunter wasn't a factor in the run game. Damari Alston was the only other back that was used. Didn't see Cobb, didn't see Batee, didn't even see Sean Jackson, who we expected to kind of play this game, but obviously this game did not go the way we thought it was going to. Javarius Johnson, Valder Fairweather, Caleb Burton got the majority of the catches, but overall, receivers looked slow. There's not many drops, but it was because it's kind of easy to throw easy passes whenever you have people going like walking speed across the field. It was just battle round. Going to Teresa's comment. The OCs and position coaches should have been able to take care of business against New Mexico State, even if Coach Hugh Freeze was recruiting. Really nice if you pay attention to the team. He has. Yeah, that's the thing I've been looking around at. The fact that Auburn has more talent than New Mexico State and still was not able to promptly beat the snot out of them like Auburn should have been doing. And that's what makes this loss probably the worst, probably Auburn history. I don't want to go as far to say that quite yet. But this loss is pretty bad. It's probably the worst loss Auburn has ever suffered. You lose to a G05 team for the first time in a hot minute, especially at home. I think 1991 was something that I read. New Mexico State never lost New Mexico State before until now. 3-1 now against Mexico State. They're going to go to the Conference USA Championship in 2 weeks. There's not a lot of good things to take from this game. I don't think there's a single positive I can take away from this game. I guess the only thing I can really say is, Alex McPherson is still keeping his streak alive for consistently making kicks. That's pretty much the only positive. This is going to be mostly a rant session. So if any of y'all have any rants, I'm going to pull those up because, I just keep looking up and down this box score. I keep looking up and down at the plays. Auburn just could not get the ball back. Auburn could not. I'm just pulling up the time of possession. Auburn had 21 minutes to New Mexico State's 40 minutes of the game. So 40 and 20, basically. Sorry. There's just nothing good about this game. There's just nothing that is positive to take away from this game. See, the fake punt. Yeah, I completely agree, Chris. The fake punt just kind of came out of nowhere. That was the moment where I was like, we lost this game. This is where Auburn lost, was that fake punt. Auburn finally slowed down this offense, finally got some stops, and they run a fake punt and get the first down, score touchdown on that drive. And I just can't. Auburn lost their streak of forcing turnovers. Could not convert on third down. 20% efficiency on third downs. 2 for 10 on third downs against New Mexico State. Who, granted, great defense for a Go5 team. Great defense for a Go5 team. Did not help that Auburn play the worst offense we've seen all year. Auburn played better offense versus Georgia, versus LSU. This game literally is the worst performance I have seen from any Auburn team I have ever watched. Any of them. I think 2012 teams, I'd performed better. 2012 beat New Mexico State. I know New Mexico State probably wasn't very good that year either, but Auburn should never be losing to Mexico State. And the part that annoys me the most about it is the fact that everyone is trying to compare this to Nick Saban's loss to ULM in his first year. That is the most annoying thing you can possibly do about this game, is try to compare it to Nick Saban's loss to ULM. I can understand where you might be coming from, but it's not the same. It's just not. And it's just that part annoyed me. I don't know if anybody saw my tweet on Twitter. It annoys me seeing that. This is not the same. It's just not. Because ULM beat Alabama, yes. But, excuse me. But Alabama was in it. They only lost by 7 points in that game. Only lost by 7. Auburn got absolutely demolished by New Mexico State. And let's see, I got Rebecca Voodoo saying Auburn has nothing to lose. The Iron Bowl. Great recruiting weekend, I heard. I know Cam Coleman's got a couple of crystal balls to come to Auburn. But overall, as a team, this was the worst weekend for this current team. Future-wise, it's great. Recruits seem to love this week, and some of them are going to be back for the Iron Bowl, and that's going to be an awesome environment as well. But oh boy, if even a sliver of what we saw yesterday appears in the Iron Bowl, I don't think Auburn puts up a point. I don't think Auburn is able to stop Jalen Milroe if they couldn't stop Diego Pavia. That is the level of depression that I'm at with this game. I could not get off. I did not move a muscle for the 30 minutes to an hour after that game. Nothing about that game made it enjoyable. I wanted to take a sabbatical from social media for a week because there's no way that, and everyone's making fun of Auburn, and they have every reason to be, because this is I cannot overstate this enough. This is the worst performance by an Auburn football team in the history of Auburn football. Since 1856, this is the worst game in Auburn football history. It's just awful. It's god awful. And I understand people are saying that Auburn doesn't have the players. Auburn is more talented than New Mexico State is. Auburn has more talent than New Mexico State ever will have. No Auburn team should ever lose to New Mexico State because of the lack of talent. There's not a lack of talent. This was a lack of coaching on everybody's part on Saturday because Peyton Thorne played as well as he could. Jarquez Hunter could not get anywhere. The offensive line could not get blocks. This team was flat out just not prepared for Mexico State to put up a fight. They were not prepared, and they did not get right after halftime. They did not get right. They did not make the key adjustments you need to make during drives, after drives, in between quarters, nothing happened during this game that proved that Auburn wanted to win this game. Absolutely nothing. And I refuse to believe that this is just overlooking. If you overlook an opponent, you can still win the game just by out-talenting people alone. That is strictly how that works. If you can overlook someone, you're going to still beat that team. It happens all the time with other SEC teams. Every time an SEC team struggles with a Go5 team, an FCS team, because they're overlooking their opponent, they still come back and out-talent that game and win. Even if it's an ugly win, they still find a way to win. This was the worst coach game of the season. The worst coach game of the season. I'm looking at Cal. I'm looking at LSU. I'm looking at Ole Miss. Nothing beats how bad the coaching was in this particular game. And then say a comment from Teresa. We need the ball first and score on our first drive. That is when PT plays better when he gets the lead. He gets comfortable. When he gets behind, he holds the ball too long. Well, yesterday, I don't even think Thorne even struggled with that. It was the fact that the receivers weren't getting open. They weren't getting separation at all. I mean, Caleb Burton's our fastest wide receiver, and he didn't get any separation. I mean, he looked like he was jogging throughout all of his routes, his motions. Whenever he got the ball, he wasn't going very fast. This team played in slow motion all night, and that's why New Mexico State just had the perfect scheme around how to stop Auburn and how to get through Auburn. This was just all around just the worst this team has looked, and I can't even say that any of this is Peyton Thorne's fault. Peyton Thorne played good football throughout all four quarters. He just didn't have the team around him to do it, and that's something that's wild for me to say. He just looked – he did not play bad. He made no turnovers. The sacks he took were because he was trying to get Auburn back in the game, and his offensive line just broke down. This was horrendously bad. He got every time he got sacked. I've had verification from other people who were there that it was just because no one was getting open, and I don't know what happened in this game. I think Auburn could have played the same brand of football they played against Arkansas and won this game. But I mean, going through their drive chart, I mean, punt, touchdown, end of the half, punt, field goal, turnover on downs. Auburn had a total of 8 drives throughout the entirety of the game because New Mexico State just held on the ball. I mean, look at New Mexico State drives. So they had the touchdown. They held the ball for 5 minutes. Then they punted the ball in their second drive, held the ball for 6.5 minutes. Their next drive was a punt, which they had the ball for 1.5 minutes, and then they got a field goal on a drive that cost them 6 minutes. And then in the second half, they had a touchdown drive that was 5 minutes. They scored a touchdown on a 10-minute drive. And they scored no touchdown on a 3-minute drive. And they took a knee at the end of the game. Auburn just could not retaliate to what they were trying to do. They would run these play action inbounds. They'd have the quarterback run out of the pocket. They'd have their back quarterback get in, hand the ball off to their starting quarterback, and throw the ball down the field. I mean, this game was played like an NCAA 14 game where you were playing as New Mexico State and you schedule one of these hard opponents and you're just good at the game and you can just out scheme the other team. That's what it looked like. This is what happened. Auburn got Hugh Freeze got out-coached yesterday completely. Nothing about this game was in Coach Freeze's favor. Nothing whatsoever went well for Coach Freeze. And he has said that explicitly in the post-game interviews. He said that there was no effort from his team's part. There was all of this going on. Didn't seem like our team was ready. And all the players were saying the same thing, the lack of effort. And with the Iron Bowl coming up, I mean, geez, it has me worried. It's not the fact that I think I'm worried that Auburn can't win. It's the fact that I'm worried that Auburn won't score. Auburn won't compete. And I understand Iron Bowl rivalry game in Jordan-Hare Stadium. And again, I'm going to say it. This is going to be a quote graphic too. If a sliver of this team we saw on Saturday shows up against Alabama, Auburn does not put up a single point. That game will not be competitive if that happens. Auburn is right now 6-5 going to the Iron Bowl. And they have had 3 games in a row where they've looked pretty good, and then this Mexico State game right before the Iron Bowl. This is exhausting to watch. That game was exhausting to watch. And let's see, Rebecca Voodoo, players get exhausted and injured, lose that motivation, and could care less of a bowl game. Congratulations to Mexico State. I wonder if the players want to play for Freeze. I don't think that's the case at all. These players are buying into what Freeze has. I just think that this week was just strictly trying to boost up recruiting. And that's what happened. And they didn't have an answer for what they were doing because there was more recruiting than scheming going on. And I said this several times during the week. You can never overlook your opponent. I don't care where Auburn, I don't care who they're playing. I don't care if it's a high school team. I don't care if they're playing Opelika High. I don't care. Never overlook your opponent because if you do, it's going to cause you issues. And every single issue Auburn had because they were not coaching for Mexico State. They were recruiting and trying to get rid of the Iron Bowl. That's what it looked like to me. That is exactly what this game looked like, and they had no scheme for what New Mexico State planned. The most annoying game of all time. And I'm just trying to think of plays that come to my mind. I mean, I don't remember very many drops. I remember watching every time they tried to hand the ball off to Jarquez Hunter, he got stuffed. Jarquez Hunter got stuffed by New Mexico State. Peyton Thorne would try to run out of the pocket because no one would get open, so he tried to run it and then wouldn't get very far. And I mean, even the penalties. Every time Auburn got a big play, I mean, Tyler Fromm had a chance to make the best play of the evening and get that long catch that he would have had if he wouldn't have dropped it for one, and B, if it wouldn't have got called, wouldn't have got called back for holding nonetheless. And I understand. I hate that ref crew more than anybody. Ken Williamson, I think is his name. He's always been on my list of referees. I don't want to see officiating my team, and I can't put the blame on the refs. I can't. And I know I was talking to, I think Tarr was talking about how this ref crew, he's trying to make sure that this wasn't the same ref crew from the 2018 LSU game. It's not, but same quality. Because, I mean, it was bad on both sides. No one got away with anything yesterday. And even if it was the slightest bit of a hold or of a block in the back or any of those type of things, they were throwing that flag. They were throwing the flag out. And I mean, even the one play, the one play that annoyed me the most about the officiating was the in the red zone for New Mexico State. Pavia runs out and gets hit by, I can't really remember who, and they blew the play dead as soon as he got hit. It was as soon as the shoulder pad got laid on him, whistle got blown and the ball came out. And Auburn picked it up, and it would have. I don't know if Auburn would have scored on that drive, but New Mexico State wouldn't have. And that's just the kind of stuff with the ball. And I hate the fact that officiating gets called like that. I hate that they put that kind of effort into stopping whenever the forward progress gets stopped, because I don't think it did. I don't really think it did. But I do not want to put any of the blame on the officiating here, because overall that was all on the coaching staff and some of the players. I mean, this was a team loss if I've ever seen one. Nothing about this game can prove to me that Auburn is prepared for the Iron Bowl in a week. You can't. The officiating was bad. Auburn was bad. The offense was bad. The defense was bad. The running backs were bad. The wide receivers were bad. Corners were bad. The linebackers were bad. Defensive line was bad. Everybody who played this game was bad. except for Alex McPherson, except for Peyton Thorne, and Oscar Chapman as well. I mean, the people who were giving the ball back to the other team, outside Peyton Thorne, were playing the best. Whenever it was just trying to flip the field, get some kind of points on the board, they were able to do that. I'm trying to remember who exactly got the touchdown. I don't remember. It was Auburn's. Who had the touchdown? The middle pass complete. We're all fair, but I got the touchdown. There we go. Now I remember right now because I have a picture of it for the final score graphic. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot more I can say about this game. There's really not. This game was overall just bad. And the only positives I can find myself looking for is the fact that it does seem like recruiting did take a positive turn. Auburn made progress with Cam Coleman. Auburn made progress with Ryan Williams, so I've heard. It just – and other recruits as well that I've been looking around trying to see who all came to the game yesterday. Everyone – it seems like this week was a very positive recruiting week, which I enjoy because I would really like for this next year's team to be really, really good. And that's what you need to do whenever you get these recruits. Cam Coleman Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, Bryce Kane, Malcolm Simmons. I mean, those four guys are going to get playing time right away. I don't think there's a single – Perry Thompson and Cam Coleman especially. But Bryce Kane's going to be a dude. Malcolm Simmons is going to be a dude. And some of these defensive guys we're also getting are going to be dudes as well. I mean, this recruiting class is full of people who are going to play immediately in this Auburn's on this team. Because, again, if this team ever comes out and plays like this again, this is the worst. And I mean, Walker White is going to take a year. Auburn's going to get transfer quarterback unless Peyton Thorne, I think, could end up playing himself back into starting quarterback next year. I don't think that's the worst possible thing to happen, and that's coming from me. But if y'all have any comments, I'll try to stay here for another 8 minutes just to kind of get it to 30 minutes. I think I've said all I really have to say. I got on my soapbox for 20 minutes just to talk about this game and open it up to anybody who has any questions about what I think about the game, or I think about recruiting and other stuff like that. Do I think they could turn it around as freshmen, the receivers? Yes, but the defense is losing a lot of starters. Some of the recruits that are coming in, I really like. DeMarcus Riddick, I think, is going to play right away, and I'm going to pull up the recruiting class as I speak. I know there's a lot of Auburn recruits right now that I just know that are going to be instant starters. DeMarcus Riddick, I do believe, is one of those. Looking at Jamonta Waller, I don't know how likely he is to start with Jalen McLeod coming back, but I think he'll get some playing time as well. Riddick, yes. Walker White's going to probably take me the year. DeAndre Carter, definitely going to be a starter. Bryce Kane, I think. Amon Lane, Jalen Crawford are likely to get some playing time. I don't know if Auburn can turn it around immediately in year two, but I definitely think Auburn's going to be a lot more competitive with some of the SEC teams. I mean, even though Auburn's very competitive with Georgia and very competitive with Ole Miss and potentially a little competitive with Texas A&M. But with other players, with Texas and Oklahoma coming in next year, it's a tougher SEC. I mean, looking at some of these guys, I think Laquan Robinson, the safety who Auburn got 2 weeks ago. No, last week, 2 weeks ago. I think Laquan Robinson is going to be a starter. I think he plays a lot like Zion Puckett does, but he can actually cover. And that's where I get from that. When I watch him film on Laquan, I think Malik Blockton can get some playing time. I think he's a very good defensive tackle. And this position Auburn probably needs to load up on a little bit more with Jason Jones and Marcus Harris gone, I believe. Marcus Harris for sure. I don't know if Jason Jones is a senior. I think Jason Jones might be gone. But yeah, overall, I mean, 2025 class is definitely going to be where you're starting. Hopefully, see some more upward progression from this team. I got James. What's up, James? Dylan, you were correct about the wide receivers. My question is, who will be throwing to them? It can be anyone who holds onto the ball. These wide receivers you have mentioned will be elite. I mean, with what we've seen from the past 3 weeks from Peyton Thorne, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for him to be the starting quarterback next year. saying that I wouldn't mind if Auburn went out and got a transfer portal quarterback who they'd like to either compete with Thorne and kind of push him to get even better, or even if it's just I don't think Walker White is going to be going to get thrown in the fire like that. I don't think I don't believe that Freeze would throw him out there like that. So Thorne or another transfer quarterback. I wouldn't know who the transfer portal quarterback is because we're not really in the swing of that yet. I mean, you can probably just assume what the names that are coming around, but I mean, I think of it like don't take this like I'm comparing the team, but I mean, when Alabama had all those star-studded wide receivers like Julio Jones and Amari Cooper, they had Greg McElroy and AJ McCarron throwing to them, and I mean, that's kind of what happens whenever you have those kind of star-studded wide receivers. It doesn't really matter as long as they're getting the ball to those receivers. You're in the clear. Ernest Vaughn, how is Connor Lew? I mean, Connor Lew, I don't think played bad. I don't think the blocks ever got broken down because of Connor Lew. Dude's gonna be a freshman All-American for a reason. I think he's definitely. If he's not, he is one of the best offensive linemen in this team. Which not a hot take at all. I was pretty high. I was always high on Connor Lew. I almost expected him to be the starter. If it wasn't for Avery Jones committing to Auburn, transferring here, I would have expected Connor Lew to get the start right away. And he's definitely been playing like he should have gotten it at the beginning of the season. Back to Teresa. Do you think Hank Brown will be a viable number 3 next year, assuming Robbie and Holton are gone and we get one from the portal? I believe so. I don't know how likely he is to get playing time, like we've seen from this year with everybody kind of getting in. I think if a transfer comes in, Thorne will just be the strong backup that Auburn needs, and Hank Brown kind of be an emergency quarterback. And even then, I feel like if he's a third and he ends up getting in, I think it'll be just Walker White might get in a little bit to kind of show off. I think it'll be a redshirted Walker White and a Hank Brown will be the third string quarterback, just to kind of split it up a little bit and just kind of see what you're getting from Walker White. But if you get a good enough transfer, I don't think you really matters who the third string is. I think Hank Brown is going to be one of those dudes who kind of – I don't believe it. I think Hank Brown's a really good quarterback. But I also think that if Hugh Freeze brings in a transfer portal quarterback, that guy's going to be your solid number 2 that you're going to expect to see whenever Peyton Thorne or vice versa. If Peyton Thorne's the backup, then you'll see him go in. I mean, Hank Brown kind of feels like he'd be kind of – it'd be like you get the starter, your backup, and then your third string would be Hank Brown or Walker White would be how that would look. Injuries perspective, yeah. If they're not ready for Walker White to go, Hank Brown would be the third string. And I do believe that Robbie and Holden are both gone. That's pretty evident. I mean, there's also people just saying that we don't have the starting quarterback. Our starting quarterback for next year is not on the roster yet, and that's pretty much what everyone kind of thinks about this year's team. This team's still talented enough to win games. We've seen it. They competed with Georgia. They competed with Ole Miss. They could have held stronger against A&M, and I don't even know what happened against LSU. But I don't. I refuse to believe Auburn has a lack of talent. Like, talent is the issue. But yeah, if Peyton Thorne and the transfer get hurt, they're probably going to have more trust in a guy who's in year 2 of the system than a guy who just got there. Recommended Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. We're going to have an episode come out on Thanksgiving where we're going to be talking a little bit more about Auburn athletics as a whole. And if you missed out on it, Auburn is good at basketball. Auburn is good at volleyball. Auburn is good at they're going to be good at softball and baseball as well, but they're not here yet. Auburn's good at equestrian. Auburn's good everywhere else. And if we see more of this football team like this that we saw yesterday, then yeah. We think next year's starter will either be Holden or transfer. I don't think Holden stays. I think Holden's going to transfer out. I mean, every single week throughout the season, at the beginning of the offseason, and throughout the offseason, Hugh Freeze always says that Holden Geriner is the best passer on the team. Holden Geriner has the best arm on the team. He's the purest passer on the team. But even if Peyton Thorne went out, Robbie went in. And even then, Holden was always going to be the third string and always has been the third string. I think Holden. We're going to see Holden and Robbie both into the portal at the end of the season, either after the Iron Bowl or after the bowl game, one of the two. But I mean, whenever you're trying to find a spot where people are going to want you more, it's going to be probably after the Iron Bowl, where you're going to hear some people kind of transfer out. I just don't see Walker coming in at the start of the freshman. I just will hope Peyton Thorne has another year of eligibility, and he definitely didn't do enough this year to get drafted. So Thorne's coming back. We also have all the walk-ons that are here. Walker is going to get redshirted unless he comes in as just a dog, and that I believe he could be. But unless he isn't, Walker is going to be redshirted. You're going to have Peyton Thorne in the transfers 1 and 2, Hank Brown 3. Then you're just holding off until Walker White gets developed, and then 2025, Walker White's going to walk out the starting quarterback for the Auburn Tigers. That's pretty much how I see it. I don't think he gets to start year one unless he just absolutely demolishes camps. If he just absolutely kills it and just blows everybody out of the water, which he very well could be. Hugh Freeze is very high on Walker White. We're all very high on Walker White. And Walker White has a very high on Auburn. Definitely a morale guy who could definitely help out this team a lot once he gets on the plains, because he's definitely going to be the guy whenever he gets on campus. The QB in waiting, if you will. Let's see. Kind of wait around, see if we have any more questions. I'm also trying to look at the 25 class. So I'm trying to see exactly who we're expecting to be here. Jacayla Falk is going to be good. Ryan Gee, Malik Autry. Yeah, there's a lot of good players in this 25 class, but that's also going to be the class that we're expecting to see a lot more improvement from this team, and also going to expect to see more results on the field, probably 25. But 24 definitely got some dudes that are going to be starting immediately. Again, not Walker White. I don't even know about Javonte Waller. Joseph Phillips, I don't know yet. I need to see him play more. John Drew Carter is. Brian Kane. If we can get snaps, Amon Lane. Jalen Crawford probably can get a lot of snaps as well. Martavis Collins. He might get in because of the lack of depth after next year, because they're going to be losing Fromm and Deal. Maybe Brandon Frazier. So, yeah, those three leaving. I think you're going to have then Valdo, Micah, and then Martavius Collins kind of come in. Malcolm Simmons, expect him to see a lot of playing time. He's very athletic. Malik Blockton, I expect him to come in. The dude is a dog. Again, I always talk about Malik Blockton. He's one of my favorite players in this class. Kinsley Faustin, I don't know if we're going to see a lot of him year one. TJ Lindsay, kind of the same way. Demetri Nicholas, don't really see him playing a lot until he develops more. Caleb Harris, also same thing. Laquan Robinson, JUCO guy, already experienced, plays very well. I think he's going to be more of your – he's, again, like I always say, Zion Bucket, but can cover DeAndre Carter or D'Angelo Barber. There we go. Guy I think is going to also need some time to develop because he's also a very raw talent. Therese asked me the UTSA coaches questions. What % do I give Traylor to A&M? I think he'd be dumb to take it, too much pressure. He'd be better to go to Mississippi State and prove himself somewhat in an SEC, a program that would be happy with 8-4 season. I think A&M is smart trying to go after Traylor, definitely a program builder down there at UTSA. I thought Arkansas, I thought Arkansas was going to fire Pittman. And I thought they were going to actually go for Traylor instead at Arkansas. I don't know how likely A&M is to go strictly for Traylor, because it'd be kind of dumb on their part to kind of go for – I guess you're either thinking – if you're thinking monetarily, they're trying to spend less money on a coach this time around. But I kind of figured that if A&M was going to go for a coach, they were going to go for a coach who's more of a name in the college football than just one of the best G05 coaches. They would have to go for a P5 who's looking for another step up and money and program-wise. I would say Traylor at A&M, I'd give it like I don't want to go too low, but I don't want to go too high. I'm going to give it like a 30% chance. And I do agree. I think Mississippi State would probably enjoy him a whole lot more. Yeah, he does know the Texas area, though. That is right. He can recruit Texas, especially if he has more resources to use. I do like Virginia. I think I saw Jamie Chadwell was like he was in Starkville. I don't know if he's a favorite, but he was in Starkville like last week. So that's the Liberty coach and former Coastal Carolina coach, for all y'all wondering, who our rivals are going to be hiring soon. But if somebody else has any questions, I'll go ahead and get out of here. I'll rumble on for about another minute or so and see if anybody else has any more questions coming in. If not, go ahead and end the show. Go ahead and start leaving your predictions in the comments for the Iron Bowl. I'm going to look around for whoever got the closest prediction for the Mexico State game, but I believe, spoiler alert, probably won't have one because everyone predicted Auburn to win and win big, including myself, including John Conley, including Tarr, including everybody who ever predicted this game predicted Auburn to win big. So I don't know if anybody even won the prediction thing this week. Arkansas would have been good for him because lots of Texas kids would Arkansas. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking Arkansas recruits a lot from inside Texas. And I think he would be a good fit. But they're going to stay with Pittman another year, so that's good for us. Definitely Pittman's got to start off next year in the hot seat, if any coaches. I think Pittman, Napier, Beamer are going to be the top three in the hot seat. And then other coaches that I'd be looking at, Stoops, definitely a guy who might get fired if he doesn't start getting some better talent or better production on the field, especially after he cried after the Georgia loss about how he didn't have the talent to actually play against Georgia. But yeah, Napier, Pittman, and Beamer are definitely be your three hottest seats. And then Stoops is definitely a guy you got to watch out for. Not Hugh Freeze. I don't believe Hugh Freeze is in the hot seat whatsoever. 2025, if we're still going 6-5 or whatever before the Iron Bowl, then maybe start to warm his seat up. But that's going to be 2025 whenever I think he's going to start having to start initiating some results on the field. But yeah, with that, I'm going to go end the show here. I'm Dylan Larck at @Tank on Twitter/X. Go follow me there. Also have me on Instagram as well at Dylan Larck at DYLANLARCK. Also, I was right here on the College Loop. You have us on Spotify, or you have us on Twitter/X, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at the College Loop. And, of course, you have us right here on YouTube. Again, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Leave your predictions, leave your thoughts on the game in the comments below, and maybe we'll get to them in the next episode just to kind of rant as a family with y'all. And, of course, if you're tired of seeing our faces, completely get it. You have the audio version of the show, which is going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Amazon Music. And, of course, this has been a rough week of Auburn football. Enjoy Thanksgiving. We're going to have a show that day anyway, so I'll say all these sentiments again whenever it happens. But, of course, all of that being said, this has been the College Loop post-game reaction show.